Welcome to the quest for the Green Ball, the rise of Ralu Azath. We are joined today by the three other lucky players still alive in the quest to win the Green Bowl championship and to save humanity. At least we think we have a shot with the Dream Priests on our side, but we'll see. We have last week's quarterfinal winners, of course, 4th-seeded ARs Ayahuasca Plant, 6th-seeded Siamese Dream Catz, and of course us who had the buys, my 2nd-seeded Darkridge Dreamers, and the top-seeded record-breaking Elite Mother Tuckers. So how is everyone doing right now? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited to be still, alive and to be at the Temple of the Dream Priest. It's a pretty wild place here. So let's go around. ARs Ayahuasca Plant, how you doing right now?
All things considered, pretty well. I mean, it wasn't looking well for a while. I remember reaching out to you a couple times. I was like, listen, like if we sneak in though, watch out. So, I mean, I feel good. We're hot. The boys are buzzing, and that's really, gotta hope for the best, I guess.
Yeah. How about you, Elite Mother Tuckers? You got to kind of sit back and relax last week, but injuries like we all have to deal with. But how you doing right now?
Well, this is the first time I've had to deal with injuries all year, really. Haven't really had to make any roster shifts or anything like that outside of bye weeks. But losing a key wide receiver and probably like the best quarterback in the league right now as far as points go, that's a tough one. But I'm hoping I can use Tom Brady against ARs Ayahuasca Plant there to foil his plans of going on to the finals.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure. What about you, Siamese Dream Catz? You're back in the semifinals for the first time since 2015. You got to be feeling pretty good.
Yes, I am. I would like some money. I would like what I am due.
I'm feeling pretty good too. Third time I'm in the semifinals, but back to back as the 2nd seed. With that curse going on, I'm fine to be the 2nd seed, and we'll see what happens. I'm happy with. We're recording this on Friday. I'm happy with my tight end from yesterday, getting over 100 yards, but we'll see. In terms of going back to the quarterfinals matchups, how ARs Ayahuasca Plant and the Siamese Dream Catz got here. Let's start with ARs Ayahuasca Plant, the win over Green Acres. You look like you were well on your way to a win. Things got a little interesting. Were you getting a little nervous sitting out in the cold at Lambeau Field when it was going into the third quarter and you still needed something to happen?
Oh yeah, definitely. So my dad was with me, and I told him before the game the scenario. I was like, "Listen, I really just need essentially like 10 points out of each player, and that will do the job. So maybe Jones has some yardage, and if Rodgers throws a touchdown or two, I should win." So obviously a pick in the first half, and Jones shut down for the most part. I told him at halftime, I was like, "I'm gonna lose." And they might lose this game too. So on top of it, it won't be a fun night going back. But I told him also, I've only seen Rodgers play. This was my 2nd time seeing him play in real life. The first time I went was last year, week 1 against the Saints. He threw no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So I was like, I just want to see him throw 1 touchdown pass in my life. Like that's all I had to visually see it. And it just so happened that the only one that I'll ever see him throw was to Aaron Jones. So yeah, that was a nice cap off to also my fantasy week.
Yeah, you must have been celebrating. That was the clincher right there. The 12 points, just like that.
I gave one of these and scored.
And of course, you were on one of those wild rides. You had to fight and claw your way into the playoffs. You had that slow start. You had to survive that ridiculous 5-team tiebreaker. And now you're in the semifinals. What's going through your head after this wild year?
Beginning of the year, I honestly felt really confident about my team. As the year kind of progressed, I knew that if Devontae didn't go off, I had a real kind of weakness until Hopkins got back at wide receiver. But like you said, and like I said earlier, it didn't look good for a while. I wasn't sure I was going to get in. And I really needed them to just be consistent, which is hard to ask for in fantasy football. And it just so happened that you know, the last 5 weeks or so, I've been putting up 100+ points, and, you know, that's kind of been carrying me to the playoffs now. But to be here, I mean, I expected it when the season started, but as the season progressed, I had thought there was no chance.
Yeah, and we have another team over here that also had a similar journey. Very slow start, had to survive that 5-team tiebreaker. By the skin of her teeth. We have the Siamese Dream Catz. I mean, what's going through your head? You definitely didn't think you were even getting in when you were getting beat by Green Acres there in week 14, but
No, I didn't think I was going to do well at all. I pretty much gave up. But also, I don't really believe in tinkering that much. So I was like, I've seen a lot of people come back. So I just kind of hoped that my luck would change. Honestly, I think a lot of this is luck. And I tell Anthony that all the time, and he gets mad at me. But, I mean, it is. It's a lot. I mean, you can't control who gets injured. You can't control any of that. So I just kind of try and let fate take its course. I mean, I know I deserve $300, but we all do. So to be fair,
Yeah, and I mean, you didn't think you were going to beat the multiple scoregasms too, and you essentially wiped the floor. I mean, made it a little bit of a game, the scoregasms did at the end, but
I'm just going to say right now that they're incredible at fantasy football. So
I like the humbleness, but I mean, I feel like everything switched in that matchup when the Colts defense, who you stuck with all year, and then you put in Dawson Knox and it worked out. I mean, what I was telling you on Sunday when you had Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, they did their thing before. And I mean, you just were getting just enough. Andy Dalton even got you a couple of scores because you had all your quarterbacks get injured, which is insane. I also want to throw out that you lost Cooper Kupp for the year. That's absolutely insane that you were able to make the playoffs losing somebody like that. But I mean, what was going through your head when I told you you're going to make the semifinal?
Well, honestly, I wasn't super surprised about that when you told me. I actually thought I had better odds than you told me I did for a while. So I wasn't super surprised. I was more just confused about how the algorithm works because I don't really understand that.
It takes in all the projections, but it doesn't take into fact like weather, and it doesn't go into like it's literally taking all the computers from all the major sites, and it takes all the expert thoughts and all of those things. But we cannot, you don't know who's going to vulture the touchdown. We don't know if their quarterback's going to run it in instead of throw it. And I mean, we do our best to pick our lineups and to pick our players. And I think we all did well in our draft, which is why we're here. But you still injuries, all those things happen. So when those projections come out, they're not really set in stone until those variables are taken care of. That's why I think that when the Colts went off, Dawson Knox go off, tight end and defense are the two hardest positions to know.
Yeah, and I prioritized those when I was drafting, and you thought I was silly, but I would just like to point out that I wasn't silly for once.
Hey man, the Colts, I'm worried about those Colts. I gotta that's my one thing. I'm that's why I'm going with Mike Williams on Sunday. But moving on to us with the buys, just some quick thoughts. Elite Mother Tuckers, you're taking on your former student here, the teacher against the student again. But you also have that curse for the number 1 seed. How are you feeling so far about this week's matchup, especially with Zay Jones not doing his thing yesterday?
For the longest time, I thought he was going to get no points because he had no targets, I think, until, late in the third quarter. It was like a short arm pass that was incomplete. So I turned to my wife and was like, man, it doesn't look so good. I mean, it was nice to break all those records and all that stuff. And, that's great that my name's going to be on those, but I wanted on the championship banner there. So, got an uphill battle ahead of me this weekend, so it should be pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I'm feeling pretty confident. I got my tight end did well, but the Dream Catz, I'm worried about our running backs. They all been going off, the Colts, all those things. And again, I have to say, if she had Cooper Kupp still, she'd probably be a higher seed and the favorite. I feel like you did great in your draft. I just want to throw that out there. Yeah.
I also feel that Cooper Kupp pain. I had him in another league. Yeah. and it was a PPR league, so I lost like 30 points a week with them. So I got you. I feel you.
But now Baker's his
That's
quarterback.
sad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, seriously. I was actually thinking about picking him up this week.
Yeah.
But then I saw Tom Brady. I was like, oh, sweet revenge. Sweet revenge.
Yeah. Maybe.
Poetic justice.
Austin's got a couple quarterbacks we used to have on our the Tom Brady thing was on his, and then you picked up Trevor Lawrence, which I had as my backup for a couple times. I was a little worried about his matchups these couple weeks. That's why I just dropped him. But I mean, he went off against Dallas, so I feel like you're holding on to him if you make the championship.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So obviously, this is our penultimate week. The winners are going to the Green Bowl. I wanted us to do a little pregame press conference type of situation, where we just go around the table and talk about what's going on in our season. So it is time for the lightning round. All right, so we're going to keep this simple. Like I said, we're just going to go around and answer some questions. So is everyone ready to go here?
Let's bring it.
Are they hard questions?
Yeah, they're test questions. If you get it wrong, you lose points. No, just
I heard they're very personal as well.
He puts us on the spot. He puts me on the spot all the time. I live here.
That's probably why.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, first question: what surprised us the most about this season overall, in terms of our teams and just the league in general? I'm gonna start it off here. For me, I'd say that a tie with so many records falling. The insane wild card race. We've never had that many teams with a tiebreaker before. And of course, as everyone knows, the season has a new, everybody plays each other because we have 14 weeks for the regular season. It used to be just 13 because the NFL season was shortened. So because everybody played each other, that's why the tiebreaker was so nuts. Usually it does end up going to points and things like that. And then also the fact that all of our former champions didn't make the playoffs. Green Acres and my team were the only returning playoff teams. So that's how insanely competitive. You never know we all need to cherish this, I would say. But what about you, Elite Mother Tuckers? All those records on the list for most surprising for you?
I think right before the draft, I texted everybody, hey, is this a PPR league? Like that was a huge shock to me, not knowing, thinking with that. And then in that draft coming out with Josh Jacobs, I mean, that was, like I've heard you say it 100 times this year, that might be the pick of the year.
Yeah.
He's I've never had this kind of, I don't want to say dominance, but in a way it was like, I've never had that before in fantasy football. Austin's played fantasy football with me before. I'm like a 7-7 team usually. I know about football and everything like that, but it's not Madden. You don't control anything. So, I'd have to say the fact that, breaking all those records is pretty cool, and Josh Jacobs was I'd have to say it's a tie for that. The playoff thing didn't factor in so much for me because it's, I had the number 1 seed tied up pretty early. So.
Yeah, you did. You kind of dominated all of us. 13 wins in a row will do that. It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
What about you, ARs Ayahuasca Plant? You were texting me back and forth throughout the season with different things. So what surprised you most?
The most surprising thing, I guess, for me was the structure, because kind of like Mr. Jenner just said, and then also like I'm in an ESPN league with my buddies, is that like I've never had this much like it hasn't been so uniformed like this league is. So it was definitely like an adjustment. Also, like the scoring is a lot different. So I had to learn that. Obviously, like you said, I texted you a lot about like defense and all that stuff, and special teams and how that factors in. But again, like you mentioned, I think the most surprising thing for me is my team in all the years I played fantasy is either really good or really bad. There's never been really an in between where I've just made the playoffs or just missed it. So to be part of that tie is something like, I know that you said the league has never seen before, but it's certainly something I've never seen before. So to be part of that 5-way tie and then to be the best team in the tiebreaker, that was most surprising to me.
Yeah, this year's been really competitive. Look, very competitive. I've been around for pretty much all of Anthony's leagues. I think I've been in every one. Have I? Yeah. And yeah, this year's been actually a lot more fun because it's more competitive. I think everybody participates more. We don't have any dead weight. It's really nice, actually. I actually enjoy it. Whereas other years I was like, oh God, okay, like what are we gonna do? But yeah, it's a lot more competitive.
Yeah, and I've talked about that before. Some of our teams that somehow won the championship, like not playing, messing with our standings. That's not cool. And I'm glad that this year, for the most part, we all played. And even, I mean, you look at our last place team, played spoiler a little bit at the end, had some wins and some things. You never knew what was going to happen. So that's nice. So let's move on to our second question. Why do you think your team had what it took to get to this point? So essentially, you're like, what do you think? Like, which players do you think were like just got you here, or like, what was it? Did you have balance? Did you look for defense early? Whatever it may be. So let's start with you, ARs Ayahuasca Plant.
I think really, I mean, it's a little bit of luck, obviously, like Alex mentioned. I mean, that is essentially fantasy football. So I hadn't really suffered from a lot of injuries. And also, that caused me not to really have to shake up my roster a ton. But I think I had a lot of I have a lot of depth on my team. And that's kind of what, held strong for me throughout the year. I made the right changes at the right times at the end of the season. And, even last week too. So, I mean, yeah, but really my depth, I mean, that's, what held on to a playoff chance and now a chance to go to the championship.
Well, I know if I lose, I'm never going to hear the end of it. So I really want to win this time. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I want to win every match, but especially this one. I think Jackson helped me out a lot in the beginning. I think the Colts actually helped me out quite a bit. I think, yeah, because of that, I think I drafted pretty decent and didn't overwork anything, which is always a good thing, well, at least in my opinion. You don't want to get stuck like overcomplicating things and spending too much time on a waiver wire, because it's just like, I can't live with that kind of anxiety. So I just avoid it. I kind of do what Audra does. You just kind of roll the dice and then you play the cards that you've got. So it's been working out so far. I have no idea if I'm going to win this week, but we'll see.
Yeah, and just to throw out that point, look at Uncle Justy this year. He was over 70 moves or something he had. Mm-hmm. And I think he like you look at his top 10 players that he dropped, could have been a championship winning team.
Yeah, when he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, but he knows. He's the one who texted the league about it. Yeah. But what about you, Elite Mother Tuckers? What do you think got you here?
Well, I really did my homework this year. The ESPN Chicago, the 1000 radio station, they do a fantasy football expo where they got Field Yates coming in. Is it Adam Schefter? All those guys. So I had a pretty good draft plan coming in, but a lot of luck as far as like people not getting hurt. I mean, if I made 15 moves, most of them were probably this week because of the changes that had to be made.
Yeah.
But I was able to like it was said earlier, was able to pretty much keep a consistent lineup. I knew what the players were going to be capable of. Outside of like Josh Jacobs, I think he's got to be one of my top MVPs because the season he's had is. I mean, I can't say enough about it. I mean, he's carried me in a lot of cases. So just getting lucky with it, and and being well prepared.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. For me, I would say balance for much of the season. I still don't think my team peaked yet, in terms of like some points left on the bench and things like that, and maybe everybody going off at the same time. But Jefferson and Chubb obviously have been huge for me. Almost, even though they've had some down weeks, for the most part, just forget it. As long as they're not injured, I don't have to worry about those spots. That's always nice to have that. And again, I did have some tough weeks, but I don't know. I feel like I was consistently there, and I know I was in the worst division, but I still had to go 4-4 outside of the division to get where I was to earn that bye. And it's just, I feel like I had a good draft. As Austin said, ARs Ayahuasca Plant, I had some depth that helped. And I feel like I made the right moves. I had to do what I needed to do, and we got here. I also want to say for all of us why we're probably here is that we got hot too. Like we stayed hot at the end. We were all scoring consistently high. We were on those top 3 of the week a bunch. And we stepped up and did what we needed to do. Obviously, for the Elite Mother Tuckers, they did it all year, but the Dream Catz, ARs Ayahuasca Plant, they had to win a lot to get in at the end. And, I swept my division at the end, which is still not easy to do. I had to deal with some bye week hells there at the end. So
even I can't say I did that one. So
yeah. All right, so let's get to our last question, and it'll be a fun one. We'll start with the Elite Mother Tuckers. What's your favorite part of our cosmic horror theme story this season?
Oh God, you put me on the spot with this one.
Yeah.
I'm really a big fan of the different locations of where we play. I'm a big fan of hearing like the the volcanic what is it, the ice volcanoes or something like that. I love
you're talking about your home place.
Yeah
The volcanic plateaus of Vulcan.
I love hearing about the lore about all that stuff, and of course the fact knowing that you built this story. I mean, I love it. It's fantastic. It really is, and it takes a lot of creativity on your end. I'm a big fan of like everything you've done in this league. You got the YouTube videos. You put a lot of work into this, and I think that you deserve a lot of credit for all that stuff. I think it's great. Everything about it's awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. What about you, ARs Ayahuasca Plant? I know you said before that maybe it's not your genre you would normally get into, but now that you're in the league, you were saying like you were kind of into it more. So, but what are your thoughts on your favorite part so far?
Yeah, a little bit of kind of what he said too. Like I do admire like your thought processes going into it. Even the divisions are named after kind of the themes. And then also like coming out with the stories every week. So yeah, I mean, I got into the whole Mario Cozy and the Insane Asylum breakout and all that stuff. So I mean, like, and I did tell you that in the beginning. I mean, usually it isn't something that I'd be interested in, but I think being part of the league and sort of the camaraderie of everything, I think that really kind of piqued my interest in it. But yeah, I mean, just your creativity and just the thought process that had to go behind all of this to make it what it is. Yeah, I really appreciated that and admired that. So that's my favorite part.
Yeah, well, thank you as well for that. What about you, Siamese Dream Catz?
You're holding that so close.
He's thinking like there's a YouTube video that goes with this. What?
Is there something I'm supposed to be watching? No, I'm kidding. He tells me if there's stuff that I haven't watched, and then he will show it to me. Cosmic horror is actually really terrifying for me. So sometimes I'll hear Anthony like recording some of this stuff alone, and I'll be like, oh my God, is he okay? Like I'll come home and I'll hear like groaning, or like dialogue, and I'll just be like, what's going on? And then I realize he's recording something. Actually, I'd say like my favorite part of the content itself is like when you do the narration episodes. I really like those the most because I do kind of like following along like storybook style, because it's all really kind of terrifying, to be honest with you. I mean, it's pretty successful in terms of it being horrifying. It's pretty fucked up.
I would call it more of a dark comedy horrifying, as there are comedy elements a little bit, but I did make this season a little scarier.
Yeah, I think Mario Cozy's a moron. I tell you that a lot. Like, what an idiot. Like, he just keeps making these horrible choices. I think it's super fun that you kind of created this alternative way of talking about fantasy football. It's helpful for me as somebody who's like not naturally interested in sports, which is hilarious because it's like your favorite thing in the world. And I'm over here like, what is baseball? No, I'm kidding. I get baseball now, but like when we first met, I called everything soccer and didn't know the difference pretty much. So
what's soccer?
Yeah, what is soccer?
I don't even know what that
in high
is.
school, but I didn't know the rules.
All I know is I almost missed the beginning of the Bears game because of the World Cup last on Sunday.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think soccer's actually, out of all the sports, like as a fan, I think I definitely get into soccer more than other sports. Baseball is hard for me. My attention span isn't made for it, but
But then how do you stay focused with soccer?
They've got nice butts.
You tell me baseball players don't got nice butts?
I'm sort of kidding.
I mean, they just run around for 90 minutes. You never know how much time is left, or like, like I don't know.
The thing
there's
with
extra
baseball,
time or not. Yeah.
It kind of feels like you're I'm like, wait, I thought this game was going to be over like 40 minutes ago, and now it's not. Like, what's going on? Soccer is very discreet. Like, they end the game, you know, when it's supposed to end, and it never changes.
Yeah,
that's not true at all.
You guys are talking about stoppage time and all that stuff. When they're
Did I get that wrong?
No,
did I get that wrong?
No, you're just saying your opinion is you think baseball's like that, and they're saying
that it's not.
They're saying
they
think soccer's like. So you guys just have differing opinions about that. All I'm going to say is I do love European football and up the toffees. That's all I'm going to say. Everyone knows. So, you know, just talking about my, you know, working on this stuff, like obviously it's fun for me to finish like these different things and knowing where our story is going to go, and then knowing that, you know, it could be surprising and things like that. You know, there's 4 more lore parts to kind of go with it to our end of the season. It's going to be a fun conclusion, a lot of different things. This year, I really wanted to break it up as much as possible too from previous years with making interesting ones. Like I made that one with the Lost in a Dream and all that kind of stuff, because I want, and the narration ones too. I've done those in the past, but like I wanted to do more about them. And then you guys obviously were rookies, and maybe you caught up a little bit with the lore from last season. This was kind of a continuation of that, but I wanted to build more into the outer lore as opposed to just dealing with the shadows and like those things that were going on. So I really built out the Order of Light and all those types of things. So and I have thought process in my head for future years as this story. There's a lot of story. But we have to see where we get to in this season, because I think it's going to surprise everyone at the end. So we'll see what happens there. But I definitely had fun doing it all year, and actually we've all worked hard all year, regardless. Even if we didn't make a lot of moves, we were paying attention to our teams, and we had to put all of that draft prep in and everything, and we made it here, guys. Like, get ready. We're in the semifinals. I know a game already happened, but tomorrow's going to be a blast. I love the playoffs. There's so much, like every time somebody does good, you're going to be like nervous or not nervous. This is my favorite part of fantasy football, when like every play is going to possibly get you ahead or take you down for the rest of the year. You know, before we go, I wanted everyone to have a few seconds to get their trash talking in on what they're going to do this week. So let's go. ARs Ayahuasca Plant. Trash talk away.
Tom Brady is washed. Number 1. Number 2, Josh Jacobs is not getting the ball because it's going to Devontae Adams because tomorrow's his birthday. So he's definitely going to get a tud. And also, Aaron Rodgers owns you as a Bears fan, and this week he will own you in fantasy football as well.
All right.
Wow.
Elite, you got to respond, elite mother tuggers.
Well, first off, the passing game of the Raiders is trash. So Devontae Adams ain't going to see the ball tomorrow, especially in the conditions that they're supposed to be playing in, for one. So it's going to be a ground game for them. You think George Kittle's going to carry you? He already had a big game last week, so he's due for a stinker. And, Dallas Cowboys are a good defense, okay? So, there's that. But I'm not feeling so hot right now, so I really can't trash talk.
All right. What about you, Siamese Dream Catz? You beat me before in the season. What are your thoughts this week? What are you going to trash talk me with?
I'm going to be very careful with this segment because I know if I lose, I'm never going to hear the end of it. So whatever I say now will only be repeated back to me at a later date. You're playing it safe. I'm letting the fates decide.
I feel like the trash talk is coming soon, though. If you did.
That's a burn. That's a big burn.
I mean, the thing is like if he loses, that will just be really depressing for him because he spent a lot more time on it than I am. That's my trash talk.
That's good trash talk. But for my squad, the Darkridge Dreamers, you're about to see what you get when you mess with the Warriors. I feel like it's my destiny. I gotta win this Green Bowl. I've been trying so many years. Gotta get it done. I just have to have confidence. I was here last year and lost in the Green Bowl. So if I make it back, I got to win it all. I'm going for it. You got.
Would this be your first fantasy football championship?
I've won fantasy football titles in many other leagues, but not this league.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Right. And he thinks about it. So as much as I'd like to win, I almost feel like maybe it would be better if Anthony won because maybe, he would be able to fulfill some kind of need.
Hey, I've been wanting that trophy forever. I want to drink from it and have a blast with it and take it on a tour with me all summer to everywhere I go.
He would too. He would.
Yeah, I'll make an Instagram feed of it.
He would embarrass
me the
entire time.
For your March Madness taste testing, you could do it out of the thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I kind of got that thought. Well, obviously it's been fun to have all you guys on. Good luck to everyone. Obviously it's going to be a fun holiday weekend. It's hard to get here and we're here. So awesome. Thanks for everyone coming on. It was a blast. That's the content for the week, everyone. Hope you're as jacked as us about these last few weeks. New episodes for this next week will be Wednesday, Thursday, and New Year's Day, as a lot of games will be going on there. And the Green Bowl title will be on the line, plus our other place matches. Of course, there'll be a little different format with our Wednesday, Thursday episodes, as we will have the lore opening for both now, so they'll almost be like separate episodes. Look at that, instead of parts, as we continue the epic battle between us, SeaTac, and the Shadows. It's gonna be good. I think you guys will be surprised. Until next time, salut. And in case you need a refresher, check out the updated playoff bracket before you go.